15 years of research experience. Her area of specialization is graph theory. 4 MPhil scholars and 3 PhD scholars have completed their research, and currently 3 research scholars are pursuing PhD and MPhil research programs under her guidance. She has published more than 45 articles in peer-reviewed research journals. She has participated many various international national conferences, workshops, referral course, and orientation programs. She has also served as member of staff selection committee, inspection committee, and doctoral committee at various reputed institutions. She is also a member in Archami Research Foundation and life member in Indian Science Congress Association. With this introduction, I once again welcome everyone to this webinar. Now, I hand over the session to our resource person. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your nice introduction.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. V. Gokilavani, for your wonderful welcome address and a nice intro about myself. A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm very happy and privileged in welcoming you all for today's webinar session. My webinar topic is an overview of graph theory for young researchers. Before entering into the webinar session, let me introduce once again myself. I'm Dr. D. Vijayalakshmi, serving an assistant professor in the Department of Mathematics in this prestigious institution, Kongunadu Arts and Science College, Coimbatore. And also, I would like to acknowledge my sincere thanks and gratitude to the great persons. First and foremost, I would like to thank our Honorable President, Dr. M. Aruchami sir, for providing an excellent opportunity to serve in this institution and also for this webinar session. Sir, wholeheartedly, I acknowledge my sincere thanks and gratitude at this juncture. Also, I'd like to thank our dynamic secretary and director of a college, Dr. C.A. Vasigi madam, and most respected principal, Dr. M. Lakshmanasamy sir, and most respected Dean Research and Development, Dr. S. Palsamy sir, for providing an opportunity in this webinar session. Also, I would like to thank our coordinator of the webinar series, Dr. M. Vigneshwaran, and organizing secretaries, Dr. M. Revati Bala and Mr. N. Sendil Kumar for their initiative and effort. Now, coming to this webinar session, once again, we can recollect the topic of my webinar series, an overview of graph theory for young researchers. The topics to be discussed today has been classified into 5 modules. In module 1, let me discuss about the introduction and origin of graph theory. In module 2, basic definitions and graph operations. In module 3, various research areas in graph theory. In module 4, various applications of graph theory in various diversified fields, and an approach of graph theory in COVID-19 in module 5. So what is a graph? When we heard the word graph, usually we think our school days by plotting the values in a graph sheet. Yes, in elementary mathematics, graph is a function of a graph or graph of a function. In mathematical terminology, it is a collection of vertices and edges. Here, vertices are denoted by small dots or circle, and edge is a line which connects between two vertices. Graphs are one of the prime objects of study in discrete mathematics. Graph theory is one of the branches of modern mathematics, having experienced an impressive development in recent years. As we all know that the subjects like mathematics and computer science are interrelated, in those fields, graph theory is the study of graphs, a mathematical structures used to model pairwise relations between objects from a certain collection. So in this context, a graph may be referred as a collection of vertices or nodes. So also the graphs may be either undirected or directed. So many of the chemists prefer undirected graph in order to represent their compounds, and the directed graph has applications in various fields like networking in order to identify the or give the direction for streets, and in the web page linking to navigate a source from one page to another page. So simply you remember that graph is a collection of vertices or nodes, a dot, a line, a dot, and a line, a combination of vertices and edges. So let me give the visualization of vertices and edges. Here the lines represent the edges. Note that the edges not only be in a straight line, sometimes it may be also like a curve. So corner points represent the vertices. What is the purpose of a graph in mathematics? Mathematicians are concerned with abstract structure of a graph. They define operations to analyze and manipulate graphs. They develop theorems based on structural axioms. In the beginning, graph theory was only a collection of recreational or challenging problems like Euler tour or four-coloring of a map. Let me discuss the four-coloring of map in my next slide. Under the impulse of the subjects like game theory, management science, and transportation network theory, the main concern shifted to the maximum size of entities attached to a graph. It is properly regarded as an important application-oriented area in the field of mathematics. Graph theory serves as a mathematical model to represent any system which has a binary relation. So the applications of graph theory is tremendous in science as well as technology in some of the areas like computer engineering, civil engineering, operation research, and some of the science subjects like physics, chemistry, genetics, sociology, and many other diverse fields. We'll discuss the applications in my fourth module. So let me come to the four-color problem. This four-color problem leads to a development of new research area in graph theory known as graph coloring. The four-coloring problem states that any map in a plane, any map or atlas in a plane can be colored with sufficient number of four colors in such a way that the region sharing a common boundary does not have the same color. History of graph theory. Coming to the history of graph theory, Euler, he was a Swiss mathematician. He became the father of graph theory as well as topology. Topology was one of the fascinating field in the research area of mathematics. He was a Swiss mathematician. He worked in almost all areas of mathematics like geometry, calculus, trigonometry, algebra, applied mathematics, and some of the areas in physics like lunar theory, optic theory, and other areas of physics. For your kind information, he has introduced several notational conventional symbols in mathematics. Graph theory is considered to have begun in 1736 with the publication of Euler's solution to the Königsberg bridge problem. The Königsberg bridge problem was an oldest mathematical problem for the arise of a new area, graph theory. So he is the famous Leonhard Euler. He wrote 45 books and over 700 theses. His main book is Introduction in Analysis to the Infinite. So let me explain about the Königsberg bridge problem. So in Prussia, there is a river Prager. In Prussia, there is a river Prager, which has 4 landmasses, which is connected by 7 bridges. The main concept here is we have to visit all the bridges exactly once and coming to the original point. So Euler proved that the solution does not exist for this problem since number of bridges should possess odd number of vertices, odd number of degree for at most 2 vertices. So Euler proved such solution is not possible, and a new area of graph theory was born. New area graph theory was born in 1736 with Euler's paper in which he solved the famous Königsberg Bridge problem. So let me come to the types of graphs. Previously, we all know what is a graph. A graph simply a connection of vertices and edges, a dot, a line, a dot, a line. So that is a graph. Based on the graph, we can have the types of graphs. They are simple graph, multiple graph, and pseudo graph. So before entering into the definition, let me introduce some 2 more definition. The first one is multi-edge. We all know that an edge which lies between any pair of vertices. If more than one edge appears between any 2 pair of vertices, we can say that is a multiple edge. Then coming to the definition of loop, the starting and ending vertices are one and the same, that is a self-loop. So the simple graph can be defined as a graph without loops and multiple edges. So in a graph theory research area, most of the researchers use simple graph and undirected graph for their convenience. Then multi-graph, multi-edges are allowed between the vertices. Then pseudo-graph, a graph may contain multiple edges and loops. So the below figure depicts the graph of simple graph, multi-graph, and pseudo-graph. So coming to the basic definition, before entering into the basic definitions, I would like to place a small request to the research for the young budding researchers. When you enter into the research area, before going to read a manuscript or journal, which is highly indexed in Elsevier or Scopus, you just go through the basic definitions and terminologies related to our area. For instance, if you are going to do your research in graph theory, you go through the some important books in graph theory to know the basic definitions and terminologies, like a Handbook of Graph Theory by Armugam sir, and Introduction of Graph Theory by Harare and Bandi, and then Frank Harare, Nursing Reviews. So many books are available. So with this small request, I'll ask every budding researchers to go through the basic definitions and terminology. Then if you read the manuscript or an article in your specified area, it will be easy to undergo the research and it will lead to a fruitful research. Let me coming to the basic definitions. A graph is a mathematical structure consisting of 2 sets V and E. Here V denotes the vertex set and E denotes the edge set. From the below graph, the vertex set can be taken as V1, V2 till up to V6, and the edge set can be taken as E is equal to E1, E2, etc. E6. Previously, we have seen the self loop. The starting and ending vertices are one and the same. Then multiple edge, more than one edge is allowed. Then simple graph without self loop and multiple edges. Coming to the next definition, connected and disconnected graph. If graph is said to be connected if there exists a path between any 2 pair of vertices. So probably this type of connected graph is used in the computer science domains like coding theory and circuit theory. Then graph which is not connected is said to be disconnected. Then the degree of a vertex. So the degree of a vertex, sometimes I'll take you to the imagination. Here you just imagine a triangle. We all know that a triangle consists of 3 sides in which 3 corner points has been attached. Notice that each corner point is attached with 2 lines. So we can probably say all the 3 corner points possess the degree of 2. So isomorphic graph, this isomorphic graph is also very important in order to identify a chemist or some computer science person, whether the 2 structures are equal, they have the similar structures. For that we can use the isomorphic graphs. So consider 2 graphs which can be named as G and H. So here the 2 graphs G and H are said to be isomorphic. First, if they having the same equal number of vertices and edges. In the first graph, if it possesses 5 vertices, in the second graph also it should possess 5 vertices. Then 4 edges in the first graph, then second graph also possess 4 edges. And also the edge connectivity must be same. The edge connectivity is defined as the minimum number of lines deleted from a graph makes disconnected. Then the largest induced subgraph is clique. Then regular graph. So previously we considered a triangle. Likewise, you consider a square. So we all know that square contains 4 sides and 4 corner points. Here also, each corner points has 2 lines attached with. So here all the 4 corner points takes a degree of equal degree of 2. So we can say this is a 2 regular graph. Similarly, in triangle also, all the vertices carry 2 lines attached to each corner. So we can say this is an example for 2 regular graph. If suppose 3 lines has been attached, this is a 3 regular graph. In general, we can go for K regular graph. Next, coming to the path graph. Simply a linear graph. The vertex and edge, a vertex and edge is nothing but a path graph. The concept of path graph, walk and circuit are mainly used in coding theory in computer science. Then walk. Generally, I'll consider the definition of walk in graph theory to our ordinary walk. While walking, what will you do? You place your right leg, you cover some distance, again your left leg, you cover some distance, again your right leg. Yes, here your right leg and left leg denotes your vertices, and the edge and the distance traveled is nothing but your edges. So similarly, a walk is defined as an alternative sequence of vertices and edges. It is also called as an edge train or a chain. Then open walk. A walk which is not open is said to be an open walk. Then complete graph. This is a very important graph in this pandemic situation. I'll explain this complete graph in my later module. Then tree. A tree is an acyclic structure. Many of the chemical compounds has been defined in the form of an acyclic structure. Then a closed circuit of vertices and edges is a cycle graph. Then coming to the null graph, again coming to this pandemic situation, if you are a person quarantined in one room, the next individual is quarantined in the second room, and the third individual is quarantined in the third room, there is no transmission between you 3 individuals. Then you 3 individuals altogetherly you form a graph that is null graph. In simple words, we can say that a graph with only vertices and no edges is termed as a null graph. Then coming to the bipartite graph, this is very important application in coding theory and medicinal area. So here the bipartite graph is defined as here the vertex set V can be partitioned into 2 subsets X and Y. This is mainly used in coding theory in like channels. The channels, the head of the channel will give some code words to the anchor. According to the code words received from the head, the anchor will act. So the bipartite graph is mainly used in coding theory. Then complete bipartite graph, which is similar to your bipartite graph. Here, every vertex of the first set is connected to every vertex of the second set. Coming to the definition of distance, so the distance is the length of the shortest path between any 2 vertices in a walk. So the distance concept is also used in the area of chemistry to find the molecular structure or valency of an atom. Then based on the degree definition, we can define the maximum and minimum degree. So previously I told you the degree of a vertex is defined as number of lines attached to it. Here the maximum degree is defined as maximum number of lines attached to any vertex is termed as maximum degree, which is denoted by del of G. Then the least number of lines attached to any vertices of a graph is meant as your minimum degree, which is denoted by small del of G. Next, coming to the isolated and pendant vertex. Again, we assume our pandemic situation. Suppose you are self-quarantined yourself. So nobody is coming to you, no medication is given to you. So you are isolated in a room. So you being the isolated vertex. So any vertex without any edges is said to be an isolated vertex. Then coming to the pendant vertex, you are quarantined, but some only one person is giving medication or food to you. Such a vertex is said to be pendant vertex. Any vertex of degree 1 is called pendant vertex. Then coming to an important thing in graph theory, that is graph operation. Graph operations, a rebuilt new graph from the older graph. So by using the elementary operations, by a simple or local change, that is adding a vertex or deleting a vertex, merging and splitting of a vertex, or edge contraction, make a new graph from the older graph. There are so many graph operations available. Let me discuss one or two. The first operation is central graph. As it name itself indicates, we have to perform some operations in the center of a graph. Here I have taken a graph. That graph is named as G. After obtaining the central graph operation, it can be named as set C of G. So for obtaining the central graph, there are two rules to be followed. The first rule, between any two pair of vertices, you are going to introduce a new vertex. Here, V and V1, we are going to introduce a new vertex. Between V and V2, one more new vertex. And between V and V3, one more new vertex. The second rule, you are going to join all the non-adjacent vertices. Here, V is adjacent with V1, V2 and V3, whereas the vertices V1, V2 and V3 are mutually non-adjacent vertices. According to a second rule, we are going to join all the non-adjacent vertices. So we can join V1 with V2 or V2 with V3 or V1 with V3. Now a new graph is formed with no more number of vertices and edges. From the definition of central graph, you can make some simple observations. Look at the first graph, that is your graph G. It possesses some four vertices, whereas your second graph C of G, it possesses some 7 vertices. That is, number of vertices in central graph of G is equal to P plus Q, where P stands for number of vertices in your original graph and Q stands for number of edges in your original graph. Likewise, you can find some of the observations. Always you can say that every vertex in a central graph is 2 edge connected. These are the some of the observation we have found by performing the central graph operations. Similarly, you can go for middle graph. This is also one of the important operation, total graph. And the next one is corona product. I think we are very eager to hear about the corona product. So this corona product was introduced by Frucht and Harari. Harari is the graph which is the disjoint union of one copy of G1 and V1 copies of V2. Let me define it very clearly. So here we are going to consider two graphs. The first graph is named as G1 and the second graph is named as G2. Then V1 represent the number of vertices in the first graph and G2 represent the number of vertices in the second graph. Here our concept, one copy of G1 has to be taken. Here a path graph with 3 vertices is taken as G1 and V1 copies of G2. That is, your G2 is a path graph with 2 vertices. So that is 3 copies of G2 has been attached to every vertex of the graph G1 and joining all the vertices. This form a corona product. Then line graph, simply taking the vertices as edges and edges as vertices and joining the adjacency condition will lead to line graph. So coming to the important research areas in graph theory. Graph theory has applications in tremendous fields and diversified fields. Numerous fascinating fields of research in graph theory are listed here. Some of them are algorithmic graph theory. So the in algorithmic graph theory, we apply the concepts of algorithms in graph theory. Then topological graph theory, previously I told you, topology is an important research area in graph theory. Combining the concepts of topology and graph theory leads to graph theory. Then algebraic graph theory is a branch of mathematics in which algebraic methods are applied to problems about graphs. There are 3 main branches of algebraic graph theory involving the use of linear algebra, the use of group theory, and study of graph invariance. Then decomposition of graphs. So the decomposition of graph takes place by decomposing a graph into a product of cycle or product of a path. It has applications in many fields like computer science. Then fuzzy graph theory. Fuzzy graph theory is growing rapidly with numerous applications in many domains, including network communication, data mining, clustering, image capturing, image segmenting, and so many areas. Then coming to the spectral graph theory makes us to study the properties of graph in relation to the characteristic polynomial, eigenvalues and eigenvectors by using the adjacency matrix and Laplace matrix. Then graph labeling is an area in graph theory which places some labels to the vertices. Traditionally, the labels may be an integer. Then coming to the graph coloring, which is a subclass of graph labeling, it is we are going to give the colors traditionally to the vertex is nothing but graph coloring. Then chemical graph theory, it is a combination of both chemistry and graph theory. There are so many research areas in graph theory. Today we'll discuss about graph coloring and chemical graph theory. As I told you earlier, the 4-color problem leads to the birth and development of one new important research area in graph theory, namely chromatic graph theory. The word chromatic is merely equivalent to coloring. In graph theory, graph coloring is a special case of graph labeling. It is an assignment of label traditionally called, that is, we can color vertices or edges of a graph based on some set of specified criteria is known as graph coloring. So if we color the vertices of a graph, it is said to be vertex coloring. If you color the edges of a graph, it is edge coloring. If you color both vertices and edges, it leads to a total coloring. So in the beginning, all the problems can be transformed into vertex version. For example, an edge coloring of a problem is just a vertex coloring of its line graph. The problem of coloring and the coloring numbers are very important and in very active field in the field of graph theory. So graph coloring enjoys many practical as well as theoretical challenges. Now, this figure depicts, the first figure depicts the visualization of vertex colored graph. In the first figure, we have colored only vertices and also the vertices are properly colored. Here, properly colored is nothing but no two adjacent vertices receive the same color. Here, nearby red, yellow color, nearby yellow, green color, no two vertices or no two adjacent vertices receive the same color. The next example depicts an example for edge coloring. Here, probably all the edges are properly colored. The third example depicts a graph is colored with both vertices and edges. So this is an example for total coloring. The below two graphs also depicts vertex coloring and edge coloring. This vertex coloring and edge coloring has so many applications in the field of graph coloring like Sudoku, register allocation, then timetable rescheduling. There are so many applications in the coloring field. Then chromatic number of a graph. The chromatic number is defined as minimum number of colors required to color the graph. So previously we have seen a 4-color problem. There, minimum number of colors required to color the map or an atlas is 4. Therefore, we can say the chromatic number of a 4-coloring map is 4. So similarly, when you consider a triangle, in triangle, each vertex is attached with 2 lines, as we all know that. Here, we are going to assign the colors to the corner points. So in the triangle, we can assign the colors such as red, blue. Again, it is not possible to assign the same color red or blue. So it is possible to give another color green or yellow. Therefore, the chromatic number of a triangle will be 3. Similarly, you consider a square. So it has 4 corner points. How will you color? Red color, green color. Again, you can give red color and green color. So the minimum number of colors required to color the square is 2. So likewise, you can able to calculate the chromatic number for any graph. So here some of the examples are given for calculating the chromatic number of a graph. First, I have taken a complete graph. So complete graph is simply all the vertices are mutually connected to each other. So possibly all the vertices are interlinked. So possibly you can give n number of colors for any complete graph. This is a complete graph with 6 vertices. So probably we can use 6 colors to obtain the vertex coloring. Similarly, second graph depicts a cycle graph with 5 vertices. Here, imagine a cycle graph with 5 vertices. You can give red color, blue color, then again red color, blue color for the fifth vertices, it is not possible to give either a red color or blue color. The only possibility is you can give some other color. Whereas when you consider a cycle graph with 6 vertices, you can give red, blue, red, blue. Again, red, blue is possible. Therefore, the chromatic number for cycle with odd number of vertices possess 3, and chromatic number of cycle with even number possess 2. So likewise, you can find the chromatic number for any number of graph. Graph coloring is still a very active field of research. The basic definitions, together with some special conditions, will form several types of colorings. Several researchers are performing several variations of coloring in different areas. There are so many colorings available, like acyclic coloring, star coloring, achromatic coloring, equitable coloring, dynamic coloring, R-dynamic coloring, packing coloring, bichromatic coloring. There are so many colorings available. Let me discuss one or two colorings for your kind information. So we all know what do you mean by coloring. Sadharanama nama kolam podrolla, that is nothing but a coloring. So when you put rangoli, what will you do? You color a gap. First gap with first color, and the second gap with second color, and third gap with third color. So that is nothing but a coloring. So including the coloring concept, along with the coloring concept, we are going to add some more conditions to produce a new coloring like star coloring. So just coloring a graph we know. So here the coloring a star graph is consider any path graph with 4 vertices. We all know what do you mean by a path graph? A vertex, an edge, a vertex, an edge. So consider any path graph of 4 vertices. It should contain at least 3 different colors. In the given figure, you take any path graph in any angle, you can consider a path graph of 4 vertices, then it should contain a minimum of 3 different colors. Then only it produces the star coloring. Note that star coloring is a minimum coloring. We have to use the minimum number of colors to color the vertices of the graph. Coming to the equitable coloring, this is also a minimum coloring. Here the condition imposed is, so here in the graph there are 3 color classes available. Red is the vertices consisting red color is a red color class, then blue color class and green color class. Here the condition is any 2 color classes should differ at most of distance 1. So look at the graph. Here red is connected to blue with a distance of 1. Blue is connected to wherever blue is connected with green, here the distance is 1. Wherever red is connected with blue or green, the distance is 1. So this is a condition suitably for equitable coloring. Then acyclic coloring. Previously, we have seen the star coloring. There you will consider any path of 4 vertices should be distinctly colored with 3 colors. The same concept, there we have used the path graph, whereas here you can consider any cycle of any vertices, but minimum it should have 3 different colors. This is the concept of acyclic coloring. So far we have seen star coloring, acyclic coloring and equitable coloring. All the 3 types of colorings or minimum number of colorings, whereas this bichromatic number is a maximum coloring which was introduced by Irving and Manlow in the year 1999. So here every color class should be adjacent to at least 1 vertex in each of the color class. You take the color class red, it should be adjacent with blue or green, whatever may be the color class available, it should be adjacent. Here, this is a maximum coloring. When you try for some 4 colors, for instance, you are trying for 4 colors, since this being a maximum coloring, you have to try for 5 color. If it satisfies the bichromatic coloring, you have to go for 6th coloring. If suppose your 6th coloring fails, then you can say that the bichromatic number of that particular graph is 5. Next, coming to the research area, chemical graph theory. It is an emerging research area in graph theory. Chemical graph theory is a branch of mathematics which combines graph theory and chemistry. So in mathematics, in graph theory, usually we denote the vertices and edges. In chemistry, we denote the vertices. That atomic structure of a graph can be represented where the vertices represent atoms and the edges represent the bondings. It is an important application of graphs studied in a field called chemical graph theory. The pioneers of chemical graph theory are Alexandro Balban, Gravek, Ivan Gutman, Hoysa, and many others. Chemical graph theory is a branch of graph theory that is concerned with analysis of all consequences of connectivity in a chemical graph. So by using the graph theory, we can represent circuit in physical science, a chemical structure, even the dendrimes in biology. The chemical graph serves as a convenient model for any real or abstracted chemical system. It can represent different chemical objects such as molecules, reactions, crystals, polymers, and clusters, and many others. So graph theoretical, we'll see how graph theoretical terms and chemical terms are interrelated. Chemical system may be depicted by chemical graph using a simple convention rule. As we all know that a graph is a collection of vertices and edges. So here in chemistry, the sides can be taken as vertex and the connection of bondings can be taken as edges. So the language of graph theory is different from the language of chemistry. So we propose a new graph theoretical terminology for standard use in chemistry and for the corresponding chemical terms. So let me give a mapping of graph theoretical and chemical terms. In graph theory, we represent a graph by vertex and edge. In chemical terms, the vertex has been replaced by atom and the edge or line can be taken as a chemical bond. In graphs, we can find the degree of a vertex. The degree of vertex is it has a main role in graph theory. Likewise, based on the valency of an atom, we can group the similarities and structure of a chemical compound. Then tree graph, a tree is a acyclic structure. There are so many acyclic structures in chemistry like isopentane and isobutane. A compound which is an open chain compound like alkanes and acyclic aliphatic compounds. Then chain, it is a linear alkane or pollen. Cycle, cycloalkane or aniline. Some of the graph theoretical terms and chemical terms are discussed here. Then applications of chemical graph theory. Many chemists prefer to use topological index. Topological index is a graph invariant number which is used as a molecular descriptor in order to evaluate the toxicity and to predict the biological activity. So topological indices offer a simple way of measuring molecular branching, shape, size, cyclicity, symmetricity, centricity, and complexity of an atom or molecule. So based upon the graph invariant and various topological indices computed from atomic connectivities or graph distance in order to categorize the molecular similarity or diversity or to quantify the drug-like character of compounds. As I told you earlier, a topological index is a graph invariant number calculated from representing a molecule. There are so many topological indices available. Some of the topological indices may be a degree based and some of the topological indices may be a distance based. Topological indices are mainly used to evaluate structural similarity and diversity. Topological indices are used, for example, in the development of QSAR, in which the biological activity or other properties of molecule are correlated, how it correlated with the chemical structure. So also we can find the topological distances in a graph by using a vertex adjacency relationship. Now I have considered the structure of isooctane, how to find the distance matrix for isooctane. So I'm applying the concept of vertex adjacency matrix. So here there are 8 vertices available in the isooctane. So let me consider an 8 by 8 matrix. Right, imagine that you are going to frame an 8 by 8 matrix. Here the vertices 1, 2, starting from 1 to 8 does not have any self loop. So we are going to place in the place of 1, 1, that is first place in your row and first place in your column has to be marked as 0. Similarly, second place in your row and second place in your column has to be marked as a 0. Continuing in the same process, you'll have all the entries in your diagonal diagonal elements will cover zeros. Then when you go for 1, 2, that is first place in your row and second place in your column, the distance covered from 1 to 2 is 1. So probably you can mark that as 1. From 1 to 3, 2 edges has been covered, so the distance is 2, so you can mark 2. Similarly, from 1 to 3, 4, there are 3. So from 1 to 6, only 2 lines. Likewise, you can fill all the entries for the distance matrix for iso-octane. So let me see what are the applications of the topological indices. The topological indices can be calculated for new and underdevelopment of drug or chemical entities. Using the topological indices, we can develop a QSAR model which is possible without a previous knowledge of the receptor structure or mechanism of action of the drugs. So this topological indices derived from graph theory was used as structural descriptor in QSPR and QSAR models. So let me coming to the oldest indices among the topological indices is the Wiener index. Almost all chemists prefer the Wiener index as the first topological index. It was introduced in the year 1947 by the Harare Wiener, which is used for finding the correlation of the boiling points of alkanes. This is related to the distance in molecular graph. Previously, I told you that topological indices are either degree based or distance based. Here, the famous Wiener index is a distance-based topological invariant used to study the structure property and structure activity relationship of the molecules. Then applications of graph theory. Graph theory has tremendous application in the field of science as well as engineering. So graph theory plays a significant role in the fields of science as well as technology. Graph theory has become a field of multifarious application ranging from computer science to neural network. Graphs are one of the ubiquitous model of both natural and man-made human structures. It has most expanding branches of mathematics today, and it has wide applications in various disciplines in some of the science subjects like physics, chemistry, genetics, economics, engineering, and communication. Every situation can be articulated in terms of suitable graphs by using various approaches from graph theory. Let me discuss the application of graph theory in various fields one by one. The first in the field of computer science. So graphs are used to represent networks. As we all know that our Google is a giant graph. So it represents the networks of communication and the flow of computation. Using the algorithmic graph theory, we can find the shortest distance and the minimum spanning tree by using some algorithms based in graph theory like Kruskal algorithm, Warshall algorithm, and Bellman-Ford algorithm. In the computer science domains like data mining, mining the data, neural networks, and clustering. So in the clustering concept, the bipartite graphs are mainly used to cluster the data based on their similarities. And also it is used in image segmentation, networking. So all the domains of computer science tasting their enormous development using advanced graph theoretical concepts. For instance, a data structure can be represented in the form of a tree, which in turn holds search keys and data. So there are so many applications in the field of computer science. Coming to biology, the graph theoretical concepts are widely used in biological mathematics to deal various biological problems. In the field of microbiology, a graph is able to express as a molecular structure, whereas here any cell, gene, or protein can be denoted as a vertex and the connecting element can be denoted as an edge. In this way, a biological activity characteristic can be measured via the topological indices by using the corresponding graphs. Also, the biologists can find out the breeding patterns or to track the spread of disease and parasites, how changes to movement can affect other species. Next, sociology. By using the social network analysis software, we can able to predict the actor's prestige or to explore diffusion mechanism. Like Twitter and all, we can able to find how many followers for the famous persons. Like we can use the graph theoretical concepts to analyze such things. Operation research is one of the important area in mathematics. It was introduced during the World War II. The main concept is to find the optimization techniques and also to find the shortest path. The best well-known problems are per ton CPM. Game theory. Game is a competitive situation. This game theory is applied to the problems in engineering, economics, and war science in order to find the optimal way for performing certain tasks in the competitive situations. It is also very much useful in chemistry and physics. Already we have discussed more about chemistry. In condensed matter physics, the three-dimensional structure of complicated simulated atomic structure can be studied by using the graph theoretic properties related to topology of an atoms. Graph theory in social media, as we all know that our internet, Google sees the internet as a giant graph. Here each web page is a node and the two pages are joined by an edge if there is a link from one page to another. So here we can apply, we are using the concept of directed graph which navigates from one source to the another. Then it is used in Facebook. In the Facebook, a person or a pages may be a vertex, and if you send a crush or request to your friend, then if he accepts, it may be denoted by double edges. So this is a very big network. By using the graph theoretical concept, the Facebook works. Next, coming to the last module, virus graph and COVID-19 pandemic, a graph theoretical approach. Graph theory plays a significant role in the field of science as well as technology. So in the recent pandemic in the world and the precautions taken for the prevention of COVID-19, it is an appropriate way to exercise the graph model with theoretical as well as practical aspect. As we all know that a COVID-19 is the transferable disease caused by the recent coronavirus recently started in Wuhan, China. This virus subsequently, the disease was shadowy to the world before its outbreak. Considering the recent COVID-19 and its spread across globe, it is important to understand and visualize the spread of virus and its impact. Using graph theoretical approach, the help us used to understand and visualize the disease, impact, and spread. So, previously, I told you a complete graph, which is mostly used in this pandemic situation. In complete graph, all the vertices are interconnected to each other. So you just picture a community. You imagine there are 4 individuals. Here, the nodes represent the individuals in the community. When there's a transmission of something from one individual to other individual, that the edges connect the pair of individuals that can meet, at which a viral transmission can take place with typically low but with non-zero probability. So let me illustrate this socially well mixed community graph. So there are 4 individuals A, B, C, D. Probably when the individual A meets with individual B, the virus transmission may take place with a probability of non-zero. So this is a social community graph. This is simply a graph, networking of graph. Here the blue dots denotes the persons who are healthy and the red dot denotes the persons who are affected by coronavirus. So when the transmission takes place from a group to group, it gets affected seriously. I think we are fortunate to be healthy due to the awareness created by the government and doctors and the social workers. I think at this moment, we are all very much thankful to those peoples. Then coming to the last part, the principle of success, it can be taken for the young budding researchers or for all. There are some 5 principles of success. The first one is identifying your core competency. The second one is goal setting. The third one is believing ourselves. Fourth one is developing our core skills. And the last one is perseverance. Identifying your core competency. Whatever you do when you enter into the research area, before pursuing the research, you just identify what are all your strengths, weakness, and how to overcome the threats by the opportunities available. So that is very important. Whatever work you do, you identify your SWOT. The second one is setting the goal. Goal setting is very important. The goal setting may be either a temporary goal setting or permanent goal setting, but goal setting is very important. At this juncture, I remember a quote, an aimless life is like a ship without a rudder. So goal setting is very important. The goal setting should possess some steps which should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. The third one, believing yourself. Including myself, sometimes we do not have much confidence on ourselves. We don't believe ourselves. So we are here to achieve something. We have to bring out all the hidden talents from ourselves. So this is a small thing to believe ourselves. So believing ourselves is very important to be a successful person in research as well as in your life. Then prioritization. So pre-planning is very important for each and every activity. Whatever work we do, we have to put a timetable. We have to analyze the pre and post activities in our mind. I have classified our works into 4 quadrants. We know what is the important work and what is the urgent work. Something, the work will be important and not urgent. Sometimes the work will not be important but urgent. Sometimes not important work, not urgent work. So you classify your work into 4 quadrants, act accordingly, then ultimately you will be nearer to the success. Then apart from all the 4 things, identifying the core competency, goal setting, then believing ourselves, then prioritizing work, sometimes we may be nearer to the failure part. When we are nearer to failure part, we don't know that how close we are to the success. At that time, perseverance is very, very important. So by using the perseverance technique, by having the perseverance in mind, we can achieve and we can able to reach your success. I'm very happy and thankful to the management and the organizing secretaries for providing an wonderful opportunity to be a part of this webinar session. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, madam, for your excellent presentation. Now the participants can unmute their microphones and clarify their doubts.
Ma'am, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am.
Ma'am, good afternoon. I'm Masha Shamina from RVS College. It was a wonderful presentation, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
You were speaking about the graphical presentation. Ma'am, is there any softwares which could do us? Because as a biochemist, we'll struggle in a number of graphs, like when we plot it, and when you say about the coloring techniques, we actually fail in doing certain things. Is there any software, ma'am, technically
There
available
is
for that?
a software like Latex Draw, ma'am, and
Okay, ma'am. It's a free source.
GeoGebra, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
In Word also you can draw, ma'am. Using Latex Draw, you can draw the graphs very clearly, ma'am.
Okay.
It will be used for the PowerPoint presentation also.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any clarifications? Sendil? Sir? Okay, now I request Dr. N. Mohanpriya, Assistant Professor of Mathematics, to propose the vote of thanks. Madam, please.
A delightful good morning to everyone present here. On behalf of all, we deem it a great honor and privilege to provide the words of gratitude for being with us this morning and making us feel proud and more than above your love for us. On the recollection of so many great figures, A delightful morning to everyone present here. On behalf of all, we deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the words of gratitude for being with us this morning and make us feel proud and more than above your love for us. On the recollection of so many great favor and blessings, we now, with a high sense of gratitude, offer up our sincere thanks to the Almighty, the Creator and the Preserver. My hearty thanks to our chief guest, Dr. B. Vijayalakshmi ma'am, for gracing today's session and delivering a wonderful lecture. Thank you for your very interesting and thought-provoking lecture. I'm sure that all the participants have taken note of your suggestion and will be discussing within their organization their action to be initiated at their level. God gave me the eyes, but you showed me the skies. We extend our sincere thanks to our respected President Dr. M. Arishami sir and our Honorable Secretary and Director Dr. C. A. Vasigi ma'am for awakening the desires and wonderful of young generation and sharpening the education agenda. Dear Madam, your actions inspire others and you explore the possibilities and help us to reach new horizons. We take immense pleasure in thanking our beloved Principal, Dr. M. Lakshmanaswamy sir, and Honorable Chief Executive Officer, Dr. V. Chinnaswamy sir, for being a catalyst who genuinely cares and refining the gifts and talents of the young ones. With deep reverence and gratitude, we would like to thank our Dean R&D, Dr. S. Balasamy sir, for providing us with all possible logistic support towards this faculty development program. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling months in advance. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated organizers. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. I also extend thanks to all our staff members and research scholars for their enormous support and cooperation to make this faculty development program a grand success. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for showing their interest in this program. Once again, thank you very much to all.
Thank you, Monopriya madam, for your nice words.
Thank you.
The participants are requested to join us at 11:45 a.m. for second presentation and titled Changing Paradigm in Business Climate and Social Science Research, which is suitable to this current situation, that is the ongoing period due to COVID-19. It is presented by Dr. Kala, Associate Professor in the Department of Thank you, Honorable President.